Well, we think we're going to compete, and that's a good thing. It's been 3 weeks since we've been able to get on a real competitive floor, and we've had to get creative and do some things in the gym to try to mimic that. But nonetheless, you can't really create that mindset and that competitive atmosphere the way you'd like to in the gym. Although I think in some ways, there's always a silver lining to these things when they happen. It's allowed us to heal in some spots. It's allowed us to create some opportunities in those situations that we created, like Friday when we did an inter squad. We did 44 or 45 routines that allowed a lot of people that don't normally get to compete to kind of get into that mindset and create a little bit of morale, a little bit of sense of, hey, I'm contributing. Because sometimes I think when you get a kid that maybe is not making the lineup very regularly, they can get a little bit complacent and feel like, well, I'm not getting out there, and this gave us an opportunity to create a little bit of that for them. And I think it just helped energize our group again. And so we're chomping at the bit to get ready to go. And it's in some ways it's like first meet of the year, and it's first road meet of the year at the same time. So yeah, it could be great, and it sometimes first road meets can be hairy, but I feel good about where they are, where their minds are, what the spirit of the team is right now, and we're just ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, you may have just talked about it, but it's going to be a baptism by fire for some of these girls that have never been in an environment like that.
Yeah, Georgia's, always had a great environment over there, similar to what we have here in the PMAC. But that's exciting for our kids. I'd much rather, I think they would say the same thing. We go to some places that are kind of hollow or vapid, where there's just not a lot of fans. And I think it's a whole lot better to be in front of a lot of fans, that even if they're for the opposing team, than to be in front of very few, and the energy just doesn't feel like it's there. So we'll feed off of that. We'll do our best to kind of make it our own and enjoy it.
Coach, you kind of talked about it, but mentally, you start the season. Yeah, the season's underway, and then you have to sit for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
How does that affect the team mentally? And you said it's almost like starting over.
Well, it's a roller coaster, because you build and you message based on what the week is going to look like, and you get amped up, and you build your plan to sort of create mini peaks. The way we do things, we come out of a competition, we come down. Our first day back in the gym is just kind of knocking the rust off and getting moving again, and doing what we call troubleshooting a little bit. Then we kind of build back up, have a big work day, and then we get into a competition frame of mind and do an inter squad, and then we compete, and then we repeat that cycle. And so you get into that cycle, and then the rug gets ripped out from under you, and you've got to kind of punt and figure out, how do I keep them in that cycle as much as possible from a competitive mindset, and those kinds of things. But this group's been really easy to manage. They're very flexible. They understand. I mean, we went through a whole lot worse last year, just in terms of the way they had to live. So they're very flexible. Their spirits are up, and we just make the most of it and keep moving forward.
Coach, there was a bit of an elephant in the social media room over the weekend with a particular transfer.
Yeah.
Can you address that and what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I will say that when you read social media and you read the internet, you have to be judicious in how much credibility you give to all of those things. I think initially somebody entered the transfer portal, and we got contacted and had contact with her, and then these things began to surface, and we began to ferret out the facts as we could get to them. Through a lot of the girls had contact, but they know each other on these teams, and they began to, and it became apparent that the stories were consistent from the gymnasts that are there and the gymnast that was coming here, and not at all what some people on the internet would like to portray it as. And so I was concerned at that point. Obviously, we went to the team initially before we even knew this and said, "How do you feel about somebody joining you in the middle of the year?" Anytime you do that, we've never had a transfer, so you don't want to upset the apple cart. But at the same time, we got injuries to a lot of key people and COVID and this, that, and the other, and it was an opportunity for somebody to come on no money. And then when these issues began to surface, we I involved ACK, Ashley Claire Kearney Thigpen, who's our athletic director for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I said, can you help me navigate this and see if I even need to move forward with this, because it's not worth it to me if there's any truth to this. We have a very strong culture within our team, and I think we're known for that. It's something that is, particularly in the last 2 years, we've worked very hard on. We've had a lot of difficult conversations, things that I know that in some ways I'm ill-equipped to lead, and I've enlisted Ashley Claire Kearney to help me with that. And then she and I individually talked through a lot of things as well. And as we went through it, and as she interviewed the kid and the father, and then we involved Dr. Lori Williams just to see where everybody was on it. I told him, I said, I'm not married to this. I don't want to interpret this one way and be on the wrong side of this. And they both came back and said, no, we think you're right to move forward, and we think this is an opportunity, exactly what we're trying to affect change here, for learning, for change, for educational opportunities for someone who may have made a mistake but was not. There were, in the interviews they conducted with the dad and the kid, and the information that came from other gymnasts there, everybody concurred, including our team. We met as a group. I met with everyone individually, and everyone unanimously felt like we should move forward.
And just 2 follow-ups. The first being, so is she on the team competing Friday, and how?
Not traveling. Got to come here and get established and earn your spot like anybody else. So she will not be with us this week. She is on the team. She's enrolled here at LSU, and just trying to get acclimated to our team. So far, it's been fairly seamless in terms of the internal. But I would just say that the things that we hear on the internet are wildly contrary to any information that we have.
Right. So to bluntly say that, and then what level of truth is there to the allegations?
I think that those are questions best answered by somebody who was at the institution, because everything we've gotten has been, I reached out and was unable to get anybody to call me back during that whole process. So I think the information we have is from gymnasts who reached out to our gymnasts that told them what had occurred as they knew it, which lined up almost identically to what the young lady said. As far as commenting on what the allegations are, I'm not sure that's the question. That's what I need to answer, because I think it's secondary to the process that we went through as an institution to ferret out the facts as we could, and to make a decision that we felt was correct on all levels. And that's really all I'm going to say. I think UCLA is better equipped to answer whatever it is that they allege, because what's being said on the internet has not come from that team or from that program. It's come from I don't know people that think they know things but aren't citing any sources. And I will just tell you that it is wildly contrary to any information we've been able to get.
Yeah, a couple of things. I know I read her name on the internet, but can you tell us her name and tell us her strength as a gymnast? And also, maybe one of the reasons she came here was the way you treated the UCLA gymnast last year in championships?
I think, I'll tell you her name. Her name's Alexis Jeffrey. We had recruited her a little bit when Dee Dee was here. She's from the same gym that Aaliyah Finnegan is from. She made an early decision. UCLA was her dream school. She went there, made a very early commitment, and so in terms of where she is now as a gymnast, I'm not completely sure. I don't see that. I mean, it's not like we're getting another Haley Bryan or Kaya Johnson or Sarah Finnegan but I think in a time where there were so many uncertainties, when you initially, before I knew any of these issues existed, I thought, this is kid that's walking away from full ride and coming here on no money, and I thought she'll be able to contribute in some way. So really, but as we went through the process, ACK and I, it became more and more about, as we uncovered what we could uncover, from Ashley Claire Kearney's perspective, and mine as well, it became about an opportunity to do the work that we say we're trying to do. So I was asked last night, is it worth it? I don't know. It depends on how you define that. Is there gymnastics? Is that going to be the definition? Or is this a situation where we actually can affect change and people can learn to be different? And something that we talk about as our team, we've got a diverse team, and to a person, they wanted to take this individual in, and with the facts that we were able to uncover. So whether it's worth it or not, time will tell, I guess, and everybody can be the judge of that. I understand that people will disagree with a decision that we made, but I will tell you that the process that we went through was unique. It was new. It was exhaustive. It was intentional. It was thoughtful. It involved Ashley Claire Kearney. It involved Dr. Lori Williams. We kept Stephanie Remp apprised as we went through it. Our team was very involved, our entire staff. And at the end of the day, this was the decision that we arrived at. And the question marks exist at another institution in terms of, what if any allegations are there, and what the handling of that was.
Yeah, the extra week, is that going to allow you to get maybe a little more out of Sammy and Haley? In this week?
Indeed, it is.
And which events maybe?
Sammy's back on everything. If she needs to go on anything, she can go. Haley, we will we'll do bars for sure, assuming we don't have any other setbacks, and it looks like she'll be able to vault, which is interesting. It's a lot more quickly than I had anticipated. So she's training beam again, but we're not yet there. And there's a shot that we get both her and Kaya back in the all-around for Auburn next week, which would be tremendous.
Yeah, just kind of in that vein. Anybody you know out right now?
Just Haley on those two events right now. That's it. Pretty much, our health has improved over the last 3 weeks.
Can you give me more of a backstory on KJ, what you've able to kind of realize about her since she's been on campus? She seems to have an edge about her, maybe, that most freshmen might not come in with.
She does. At least in competition. In training, it's not always that way. She, in competition, she seems to light up. It reminds me a lot of Kennedy Edney. We had a trouble getting her to duplicate in practice sometimes what we would see in a competition, and we finally reached a point where I was like, she was a freshman, and I looked at Dee Dee, and I'm like, we got to let her go. We got to see what we've got, and similar to KJ, like KJ is a little, she can get in her own way and overthink things a little bit in training, but I think, when we get in competition, she's kind of got an adrenaline thing, and she just, she lets it fly. She looks great in practice. Don't get me wrong. It's not like this big fall off, but what we saw in that meet was stunning. Like, wow. Well, we've really got something here. And so I think more than anything, just getting her comfortable and growing her confidence. She's not very confident in herself, which is and trying to get her to understand that she is good and that she is somebody who can make a big difference for our group has been the challenge. So keeping her on those leg events is probably important right now, and not trying to put too much on her plate. And then as we go through time, she could continue to grow and do more and more.
Can you just talk about your fifth-year seniors, your graduate students, Campbell and Edwards and Durante, just what they mean to the team, and do you get a sense from them of, not pressure, but we got to get this done this year, kind of thing?
It's interesting. They came back in part because they wanted another shot at it. The way things ended on balance beam on the last day in semifinals last year, that bothered them. But I think that was just part of it. I think they've really enjoyed being a part of this program, and I think the support that they've gotten and the roles that they've played. I think they've done an amazing job of embracing the kids that have come up behind them with Kai and Kaya and Alona, you know, and allowing them to kind of assume the mantle in terms of the leadership of the team right now, and they're contributing to that leadership as well, but they understand that, you know, this is kind of a grace year for them where they get to come back and help, and they've really done a good job of meshing with the underclassmen that were there under them, and you know, a lot of voices right now, and it's really cool that so many. We encourage everybody to lead. We don't assign captains. We don't. We've never been that way. I think everybody on a squad size like we have should be encouraged to lead in their own way. I've been part of teams where freshmen really came in and made the difference in terms of their leadership ability and communication and those things. So it's been a good thing for all of them, and it's certainly great for us. I think Rebecca D'Antonio is glad she's got an entire class around her instead of being the lone senior. So from that standpoint, it's been great.
Coach, can you kind of walk us through what's going on in the locker room right now? Like, what are the teams saying after the news first broke and going into competition?
I know that you guys don't believe me when I say this, but our team is healthy. Our team loves each other. If you're not there on a daily basis, you don't know the conversations we have, and we have really taken on the idea of having the conversations that need to be had when they're had, and talking to each other rather than about each other. There is not an issue within our team surrounding this or anything else right now. Does that mean we're perfect? No. Does that mean things don't come up when you have a team together? No. But as far as race, as far as marginalized groups, we have a philosophy of, look, we're going to hold people accountable for what they say, what they do. We're going to always take into consideration the people who were harmed by anything like that, and have an appreciation for that perspective if there was an incident that occurred. And under no circumstances will we tolerate anything within our group that is racially motivated, discriminatory in any way. I will cut it off at the knees if it rears its head. But in this particular case, we didn't have the evidence that regardless of the furor that's out there, I don't know where a lot of it's coming from, quite honestly. And so we involved everybody, including them. They were the first people I'm involved in. They're the ones I'm most concerned about. They're the ones. The culture of our program is paramount to anything we do. And so those people will ask, well, then why would you go down this road? All I can tell you is that the process we went through was thorough, was thoughtful, was intentional. And at the end of the day, you know, everybody will make their decision, but the information we have is not at all what is being floated out there.
Just want to be the guy to tell you that Sean Payton announced he's retiring. So,
wow.
Any
there are moments when I'm ready.
10 minutes ago. Thoughts on Sean as a coach, and you ever model anything in your game after him?
I've watched him. Here's the thing. This is going to be the highlight of the day right here. I'm a Falcons fan, so you know I grew up in Atlanta, and I'm a dirty bird through and through. So I don't model a whole lot of things. I've gotten to where, having been here now, going into my 10th year, I've gotten to where I do watch the Saints and I pull for them, but I don't know much about him, to be honest with you. I got to be quiet, don't I? I'm gonna get killed. Yeah, he's back there cutting me off. Yeah.
Gotten through this whole thing with that. You brought up Georgia. Your Georgia ties, not us. So you got through this whole thing without you having to address that. But Sammy, going back there one more time. Elena going back for the first time. The town where she grew up in, and where obviously her parents or everyone knows who her parents are. You know, obviously Sammy's been through this before, but what do you think it'd be like for Elena, especially?
I think I don't know if she's mentioned anything. She's not saying anything, but you know, there's a little different look in her eye in practice. You got to be careful about that. In some ways, that can be a good thing. You go home and you want to perform in front of the hometown, and in other ways, you got to be careful that it doesn't jump all over you and make you nervous and do those things. But and look, as far as I'm going to say this too, I'm not running from anything that anybody wants to ask me. Okay, so there are things that I think that are better asked of the institution where the controversy originated, and then there are things that are asked of us. I can promise you that the culture of our team and our kids know where I stand. So do their parents. So do our recruits coming in. We want to be part of affecting change and empowering people of color. We are not in any way going to jeopardize the culture of our program over something that would be foolish to do. And I know that those things are out there, but I'm not gonna. Our team didn't want to make decisions based on that, and I can tell you to an individual, I have long conversations all the time with Kai Rivers, who is, as I've told y'all before, is sort of the tip of the spear for us in terms of leadership, and she's not afraid to tell me anything, and we have had productive conversations and good conversations. I'm a man who's growing in these areas and who's learning a lot, and who has learned an awful lot and has had conversations and is working at learning a lot. And but I'm also going to be mindful of what we do internally and I believe that if over time, if you guys, if you dig deep enough and you understand the process that we went through and the cooperation that went through at the highest levels of our administration, it was a process that I've never seen before. And I think that simply that process of vetting and going through and making a decision was unique and new and healthy for this institution and for LSU athletics.